Alex hasn't been back home for 3 days. She often forgets she's hitched, that she's a married woman. When I handed her the divorce papers, she was right in the thick of a rowdy drinking game, swapping toasts with someone else. Spotting me, she squinted and said, "Grab a drink with these gals and I'll head back with you." My heart had already gone numb from the hurt, so I grabbed a glass with a grin and joined in, happy to comply. In the swankiest room on the club's top floor, Alex downed her drink in one go amidst the crowd's cheers. The young dude in uniform turned red from the booze, his awkward and inexperienced vibe instantly cracking up the high-status women around. I really dig Boss Mia. She's so straight up, totally. Those newbies in the biz always act so fake, even when it's time to drink. Hey, who's that at the door? Haven't seen him before? Is he new? Alex had just pulled out a wad of cash and handed it to the young guy who was over the moon and eagerly bent down to pour more wine. Alex dismissed him with a wave and turned everyone's attention to me, her eyes slightly red from the booze. She leaned back in her chair and introduced me to the crowd. "This is Jordan Lee, my husband. If any of you fancy him, feel free to have him join you for a drink." In the dimly lit room, several pairs of eyes sized me up with a mix of curiosity and amusement. They were an investment team from the capital, Alex's top guests right now. And the way they looked at me was no different from how they eyed the waiter beside them. The woman in the center raised her glass, laughing nonstop. Oh, how could we? After all, he's Boss Mia. She must have been the guest of honor tonight. I smiled, sat next to her, grabbed a glass of champagne, and clinked glasses, happy to go along. Alex gave me a quick glance and stayed silent, while the other women immediately surrounded me with their glasses. I lost track of how much I drank that night, only remembering the overwhelming mix of perfumes that made my head pound. However, since I arrived, Alex hadn't taken another sip. She has a stomach issue, so it's good she drank less. As the guests finally left, I pulled out the thin divorce agreement from my pocket and placed it in front of Alex. "Sign it. Let's split peacefully." "Why don't you ask for a few million?" "Jordan, is this all you're worth?" Alex sneered, pouring the remaining wine from her glass onto the agreement, instantly smudging everything. I forgot. With Alex's personality, how could she ever let me leave on my own terms? In 3 years of marriage, she never stopped trying to outdo her ex-fiancé, using me and our marriage as her tools. Alex had a childhood crush named Liam. When he was doing his graduate studies at Beijing University, Liam and I shared the same mentor and dorm room. Unlike other rich heirs, he wasn't distant, and we quickly became close friends. Alex liked Liam and kept a closer eye on him than anyone else. It was common knowledge at Beijing University because I was tight with Liam. Alex kept pestering me to add her on WeChat so she could always get updates. At that time, Liam was always annoyed, saying Alex was just overly dependent on him since she didn't have other friends as a kid. I could tell Liam didn't feel the same way about Alex, but despite all her efforts, Alex couldn't stop Liam from meeting another girl while he was abroad for his doctorate. Alex married me just before Liam came back to get engaged. The wedding was big and flashy, stealing half the guests from Liam's engagement party. I married Alex not just because she paid off my dad's medical bills and backed me through my doctorate, but also because she was the girl I secretly liked for 2 years. However, Alex married me to make a point to Liam. Marrying her ex-fiancé's good friend was the perfect way to show she had moved on. With her stubborn determination to win, she kept us tied in this marriage for 3 whole years. Alex never changed. She'd call me whenever, stay out all night as she pleased, and come and go as she wanted. It was me who got greedier, not satisfied with just the physical and surface connection. But Alex, she never had space for me in her heart. Even so, when I took out that divorce agreement, I never really thought Alex would agree. She lit a cigarette, downed another drink, then reached out to me. "What's this? Did you only bring one agreement? Jordan, you're not that set on divorcing me, are you?" With Alex's faint smile, I felt like a clown in a play, messing up the hard-to-get game miserably. Alex came home with me after signing the big contract. She was in a great mood and clung to me until almost dawn. I had a class in the morning, so I got up early. After giving her a light kiss on the forehead as she slept, I left the divorce agreement and a bank card on the bedside table. I was determined, but it was always tough to follow through when Alex's bright, biting eyes were on me. After finishing my doctorate, I stayed at Beijing University as an associate professor. In my spare time, I made some cash from writing, and after my dad passed away, I sold the family's farmland in the countryside. Only then did I barely manage to save up enough to repay Alex. For a 10 a.m. class, I was already sitting in my office just after 8 when I got the dorm approval notice. Right then, Professor Zhang from across the hall came over to gossip. "Professor Wang, are you moving into the dorms? Did Boss Mia kick you out? We guys gotta learn to bend when needed." I didn't catch the rest of what he said. After my class, I grabbed some food and saw Alex downstairs at the dorm. She was rocking the new limited edition fall collection, her tall figure and flawless makeup catching everyone's eye. Two students who had just finished playing basketball were blocking her path, asking for her WeChat. She looked a bit annoyed, but when she saw me, she rushed over, making the two students give me jealous looks. I pressed my lips together. Initially, I was set on divorcing Alex, no matter what she came to the university to say. But she grabbed my sleeve, her voice urgent. "Jordan, when are we hitting up the civil affairs office? I heard Liam's getting a divorce abroad. This time, I gotta seize the chance." Only when talking about Liam did Alex's eyes light up, full of the energy she had back when we were students. It was only then that the bitterness of the strong Americano I had that morning started to hit me. When Alex and I tied the knot, Liam didn't show up, and our bond as classmates and roommates slowly faded. Alex heard about Liam's upcoming divorce from her parents. The wife he met while studying abroad wasn't from an equal status family, though they spent most of their time overseas. It was said she was often sidelined by her in-laws. Liam had his wedding registered abroad, and after the divorce, his wife planned to go back to finish her studies. In the 3 years I've been married, my in-laws treated me well, but in their hearts, the ideal son-in-law was always Liam. During holidays, when our families visited each other, I was the least important presence. Back then, Liam's broken engagement and Alex's sudden marriage to me seemed to cancel each other out, so the long-standing friendship between the Chen and Li families stayed intact. Whether at business banquets or family gatherings, Alex could still chat with Liam a few words. On the way to the Civil Affairs Bureau, I stayed silent for a long time, the cold wind hitting my forehead, finally clearing away all illusions and misplaced feelings. "Jordan, you know I've always liked Liam, right?" When I replied, Alex visibly relaxed and handed me two things. One was the bank card I had left on the bedside table that morning, and the other was a check. Simple and straightforward, I took them, thinking if it could give her some peace, so be it. In the second week after moving into the dorm, I got an invite to the Beijing University alumni gathering. The news of my divorce from Alex was spreading like wildfire in our circle, and no one expected me to show up at such a time. I was bored in the dorm on a day off, so I decided to go. Did you hear right? Jordan really walked away with nothing. Do you know what kind of person Alex is? Did you think she would truly love Jordan? It was just a game. There must have been a prenup. Poor Jordan. Wait. Jordan. Hee-ha, long time no see. The room's vibe froze for a second until I casually pulled out a chair at the end of the table and joined the convo like nothing happened. Everyone there was a familiar face, mostly uni classmates, some of whom were grad students at the same time. The gossip about those not present was lively and energetic. It wasn't shocking that Alex didn't come. I could guess she was probably busy getting her hair done, keeping herself looking as young as her rival. With Alex's background and looks, she should have had no problem facing 10 guys like Liam with full confidence. But, well, I didn't want to think about her anymore, as almost everyone was there. And the host was about to call the waiter to start serving the dishes. At that moment, the room door swung open and a stunning woman walked in, holding a man's arm as they made a grand entrance. It was Mia, my ex-girlfriend, her gaze sweeping over everyone before landing on me, her bright red lips parting in a mocking laugh. "Oh, isn't this Professor Lee? I heard you're getting a divorce. How many shares did Alex give you? Should we start calling you President Lee? I realized then Mia had come specifically to roast me. 3 years ago, she tried to get back together and wanted to start a cultural company with me, but I refused because of Alex. The man Mia was holding must be her current boyfriend, one of the top young entrepreneurs in the city over the past couple of years. After graduating from uni, I decided to pursue a master's degree, while Mia wanted to start her own biz. We parted ways on good terms, contrary to the rumors. I didn't ditch her after securing my future. During the 2 years I was in grad school, Mia and I kept occasional contact. She didn't date anyone else, and many of our old classmates said she was waiting for me. But I didn't take it seriously. The year my dad fell ill, besides dropping my doctoral studies and marrying Alex, Mia offered me a third option. At that time, she secured some investment and invited me to start a cultural and creative company together. The initial funding was solid, the position tempting, and she even offered to advance my salary to help me through the tough times. Cultural and creative industries were booming, and Mia had nailed this opportunity for a class leap. I was grateful she still thought of me. But when Alex, with tears in her eyes, grabbed my arm and said that Liam had betrayed her, I thought, screw the opportunities. If I didn't marry Alex, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. 3 years later, I'm like a worn-out tire about to be tossed. While Mia's cultural products are selling like hotcakes, and she's about to marry the very investor who backed her. This was the first alumni gathering Mia attended in 3 years, and she was instantly surrounded by old classmates. They all marveled at Mia's sharp insight, how she chose the right path for entrepreneurship and the right person to be with. And the one they tactfully didn't mention, the one without insight, was undoubtedly me. Why didn't Professor Lee marry into the Chen family back then? At least he'd have gotten a hefty dowry. Mia's boyfriend suddenly spoke, making everyone's expressions awkward. He walked over to me like he hadn't noticed, filling my glass with white liquor until it overflowed. Am I wrong? How much can you make as a professor? Isn't that right, Professor Lee? I thought of the check Alex had handed me. Forget about 1 lifetime, even 2 lifetimes. It would be hard to earn that right, Professor Lee. I thought of the check Alex had handed me. Forget about 1 lifetime, even 2 lifetimes. It would be hard to earn that much. But I just let it go, turning into a worthless piece of paper. Maybe when I'm old, I can pull it out and brag to the clueless youth about how much I sacrificed for love. The overflowing liquor dripped onto my pants, a mix of contempt and humiliation. But I had brought it on myself. Forcing a smile, I reached for the glass. But before I could take it, a fragrance swept over me. A person's arm wrapped around my neck, and another hand grabbed the glass first, spilling most of the liquor onto Mia's boyfriend. I'm the last one to arrive, so I'll punish myself with a drink first. Jordan and I will cover tonight's bill. I watched as Alex downed half the glass, leaving Mia and her boyfriend with sour looks. The other old classmates quickly caught on, praising Alex's generosity while subtly isolating Mia and her boyfriend. Alex, slightly tipsy, leaned against me, her pale face flushed. Sorry, hun, I'm late. Alex was supposed to use the 1-month cooling-off period during our divorce to draw a clear line between us. Yet she still came to the alumni gathering acting as close as ever, making the idea of divorce seem ridiculous. My Lee is an academic. He just loves teaching. He doesn't care about being the CEO of the main company. What could I do? If Mia always carried herself with a certain pretense, Alex, when she wanted, could blend in with anyone. At that moment, she carried a jug and a cup, making her way around the table, becoming the life of the party. She turned the alumni gathering into a lively event, and I couldn't stop her without embarrassing her in front of our classmates. So I let her be. Everyone praised us for our deep affection, envying our marriage. Just as she approached Mia and her boyfriend, the jug ran out of wine. Alex rubbed her head, pretending to be overwhelmed by the alcohol, and stumbled into my arms. The strained smiles on Mia and her boyfriend's faces instantly fell apart, ignoring her boyfriend's attempts to console her. Mia grabbed her bag and coat and left the gathering. I helped Alex up, apologized to the others, paid the bill, and took her to the car. But Alex clung to my shirt, refusing to let go, so I had no choice but to get into the car with her. Sir Boss Mia came from an important business event. Should we head back? No wonder they sent a business car today, the driver asked through the rearview mirror, but Alex was already asleep on my lap. No matter how important the event was, she wasn't going back. I brushed aside the strands of hair tickling her forehead, my fingers catching a familiar scent of fruity shampoo. More intoxicating than the wine. Take us home. I could sense that Alex was deliberately protecting me tonight and targeting Mia and her boyfriend. Alex has always been a strong person. If the pup she raised was barked at by another, she'd be the first to bark back. Maybe Alex just put me, a doctoral graduate and university professor, against her, yet still a bookworm who couldn't talk back when mocked. My phone buzzed a few times, not wanting to wake her. I reached to silence it, but saw a message from the host. Boss Mia wasn't going to come, but when I mentioned Mia was making fun of you, she showed up in a flash. There's no such thing as a couple who doesn't fight. Go home and talk things through. Stop jumping to divorce every time. The white paper symbolizing love should have turned to ashes when Alex handed me that check. But now, a faint ember flickered in my heart, showing signs of rekindling. It was like I just needed to add a little fuel to start a wildfire. But just as I was about to gather the first twig, it started to rain. I carried Alex out of the car and up ahead. A man slightly tilted his umbrella, revealing a face half covered in stubble. No longer the dazzling guy he was in uni. He looked more pathetic under the umbrella than if he were in the rain. Alex woke up at that moment, wriggled out of my arms, and ran towards him. She didn't care about the wind or rain, only that her hands were quick enough to grab that man. Liam had returned home after his divorce. Alex was finally getting what she wanted. I should congratulate her, but I could only stand in the rain, letting my tears cool. The only clarity Alex had left in her drunken state was recognizing Liam. Now she couldn't even find her own home. I took the umbrella from the driver and walked towards the house across the way. As I waited for the housekeeper to open the door, I moved the potted plants from the rain-soaked yard into the garage. This house was the one Alex and I shared after our marriage, and all the potted plants in and around the yard were planted and nurtured by me over the past 3 years. Azaleas, jasmines, and begonias had all bloomed under my care, except for Alex. She was like a misplaced stone, unable to blossom no matter how much care she received. Liam helped Alex as they stumbled closer, his umbrella tilted, leaving half of his clothes drenched. Of course, childhood sweethearts who know each other well are bound to bring more comfort. And most importantly, Alex genuinely liked him. "Jordan, it's been a long time. It's so late. Where are you headed?" It had indeed been a long time since I'd seen Liam. He didn't finish his doctorate before returning home to take over the family business, living half the time abroad with his wife. For the past 2 years, I've avoided being in the same place as him. Alex had her own pride. During Liam's marriage, she never crossed any lines, but she stood at a distance, watching that loving couple with a look that evoked both pity and helplessness, like a kid who couldn't get the candy they wanted. I was afraid that one day I wouldn't be able to resist punching Liam, demanding to know why he broke off the engagement, why he made Alex suffer. But now, I had no grounds to say anything. Once the cooling-off period for the divorce ended, whether Alex's world was sunny or stormy would have nothing to do with me. I have some matters to take care of at the university. And we're in the process of getting a divorce. Liam didn't say anything else. He continued to support Alex as they walked towards the housekeeper. As I turned back towards the driver, I felt a tug on my shirt. Looking down, I saw that Alex's hand had grabbed hold of my shirt again, as she murmured, "Don't go," repeatedly. I gently pulled my shirt free and got into the car. Alex had just mistaken me for someone else. When she wakes up and sees Liam, she'll surely be happy. After that day, I didn't see Alex again. When the cooling-off period for the divorce ended, I sent her a message on WeChat asking to meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I took a day off and waited until morning until the end of the workday. But Alex never showed up. This was the marriage she was eager to end, no matter how important something else was. It should have taken a back seat, feeling uneasy. I contacted her assistant, only to be told that Alex had been hospitalized due to a stomach perforation caused by excessive drinking. The assistant also mentioned that Liam was planning to remarry and was preparing to leave his company behind to live abroad with his wife for an extended period. I went to the Chen family home, where the emotions I had suppressed for the past 3 years surged through my fists, over and over again aimed at Liam. What on earth did he take Alex for? In terms of physique and strength, I'm no match for Liam, but when it comes to who's willing to go all out, he's no match for me. After the 2 Chen family drivers held me back, and the Chen elders surrounded the bruised and battered Liam, threatening to call the police and vowing to have me stripped of my title and job, I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth, glaring at Liam with a look that could peel the flesh from his bones. He knew everything, knew about Alex's love and her waiting, yet he still gave her hope only to cruelly take it away. Liam dismissed the drivers and his parents, then sat down on the steps by the gate, patting the spot next to him. As I sat down, the spot where I'd just been kicked ached, and I couldn't help but turn my head, gritting my teeth in pain. Jordan, I didn't realize you genuinely cared about Alex. I guess I misunderstood these past few years. Yes, that's what everyone close to us thought. They believed I married Alex only to take advantage of her vulnerability, that I had ulterior motives. Whether my feelings were sincere or not, everyone could question them. But Liam had no right. You just got divorced and came running back to Alex, treating her like a backup plan, a band-aid for your wounds. Can you swear that you've always seen Alex as nothing more than a sister? A friend? When Liam remained silent, a bitter expression forming at the corners of his eyes, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. As a fellow man who couldn't guess what was really going on in the depths of his heart. Just as I had avoided Liam these past 3 years, hadn't he been avoiding me as well? In the end, he just wanted Alex to stay where she was, waiting for him to turn around. After I exposed Liam's hypocrisy, he took a moment to process it before slapping himself hard across the face. He said that this time, he didn't plan to return, that he was leaving the family and the company to his younger brother. Finally, he looked at me, hesitating as if he wanted to say something, waiting for his emotions to settle. You and Alex take care of each other. What future is there for Alex and me? She hadn't even fully recovered before we completed the divorce formalities. I looked at the wide, straight road ahead, and when I turned back, I realized that Alex's figure had already disappeared from the narrow bridge. She walked away so quickly, without fear or hesitation, without a trace of regret. After that, the days passed like sand through an hourglass. Before I knew it, most of the time had slipped away. I was in my dorm room replying to emails when I received a call from my former mother-in-law. Son-in-law Lee, please go check on Alex. She's not listening to us. I never expected that getting divorced would actually make my former mother-in-law acknowledge me. She told me that Alex wasn't managing the company, nor was she staying home. Despite not having fully recovered, she was out drinking every day, turning from a sharp businesswoman into a full-blown alcoholic. Tonight, Alex and a few of her rich, spoiled friends were hosting a yacht party, and one of the heiresses from an entertainment company had brought along her newly signed boy band members to join them. When I boarded the yacht, I saw Alex on the lit-up deck sofa, biting into an apple as she slowly leaned closer to one of the male artists. I walked over and draped my coat over her shoulders. It was the dead of winter, and yet she was out in the cold sea breeze, dressed so lightly and making a scene of herself. My interruption clearly killed the mood for everyone present. Isn't that Lee's PhD? Husband? We said no bringing significant others to the party, didn't we? Lee's breaking the rules. How should we punish her? Lee failed the last dare too. She definitely deserves a good punishment. At that moment, a woman handed me a glass of wine, and I noticed the table behind her. They had been playing a game of truth or dare. It seemed they didn't know that Alex and I had divorced. I decided it was better not to make a scene. So I tried to pull Alex away, but she yanked herself free with a hard shove. Jordan Lee, mind your own business. Hick, the smell of alcohol on her breath made me frown. So I bent down and hoisted Alex over my shoulder. But as I turned to leave, a few women blocked my way. Don't be in such a hurry, Dr. Lee. We don't play on credit here. How about you take Lee's punishment for her? I didn't want to deal with this group. But then someone got into the cockpit and started driving the yacht further out to sea. Now I couldn't leave, so I had no choice but to put Alex in a sheltered spot. All right, what's the game? 3 punishments, 3 dares. If I refused one, Alex would have to drink 3 glasses of wine as a penalty. For the first 2, I awkwardly danced with the boy band members and loudly recited a love poem. But for the third, someone who was too drunk grabbed Alex's bag and tossed it into the sea. Didar Lee is so devoted to Lee. How about you dive in and fetch her bag? You're being too harsh. That bag has Lee's most treasured things in it. If you don't get it back, she'll kill you when she sobers up. Hee hee. Maybe Dr. Lee doesn't even know how to swim. Even up. Hee hee. Maybe Dr. Lee doesn't even know how to swim. Even though they kept calling me Dr. Lee, it was clear that it was just another form of contempt. The boy band members leaned against the railings with their drinks, smirking as if to say, "What's the point of having a PhD? You still have to entertain the rich, just like us." I clenched my fists so tightly that my bones made a cracking sound. I wanted to end this farce right then and there. But the voice that came from the corner, colder than the winter sea breeze, made my heart sink. Alex had woken up. She was smiling at me, but her eyes were as cold as the night sea. Jordan can swim really well. He even won awards at Beijing University. Jordan, be a dear and fetch my bag for me. Okay. As I closed my eyes and dove into the sea, I told myself this would be the last time I'd do something foolish for Alex. In the dead of winter, the sea was freezing, and the night wind, carrying the laughter from the yacht, whipped past my ears. I spotted the bag bobbing on the waves in the distance, but no matter how hard I swam, I couldn't close the gap. I thought about these 3 years of marriage. I thought about Alex. Sometimes she was so close that I could touch her cheek with a stretch of my hand. And other times, she was so far that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't even grasp the hem of her dress. Most of the time, when I looked at the bright and radiant Alex, I thought she was just a mirage. At the end of it all, shouldn't I at least try to hold on to something? The waves and the wind stood in my way, but I pushed through with my arms and body. When the cold water had nearly sapped all my strength and warmth, I finally grabbed the bag strap. It was soaked with seawater, and dragging it felt like hauling a boulder. Those women said the important thing was what was inside the bag, but when I opened it, all I found were some cosmetics and a wrinkled photo floating in the salty water. The moonlight was too dim tonight to make out the photo. It wasn't until the yacht's lights flickered again, illuminating the familiar figure leaning against the bow, clinking glasses with someone, that I could see the photo clearly under the fireworks lighting up the night sky. In that brief moment of brightness, I recognized the 2 people in the picture, Alex and Liam. This most important thing had drained the last bit of strength from me. Like a dying fish, I was tossed by the waves, my eyes stinging from the salt water. And a sharp pain shot through the back of my head. Alex didn't even glance in my direction. Even if I were to disappear into the sea, the only thing she might regret losing would be that crumpled photo. I thought of the nameless character in the novel I'd been writing. Who died chasing a mirage? Now, he has a name. His name is Jordan. 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 Where are you? Jordan. Stop calling me Alex. This time I'm really tired. Whether it's lying under the scorching sun or sinking into the quicksand. The moment I closed my eyes, the mirage disappeared. Who are you? I shielded my eyes from the blinding light, the words tearing at my dry, cracked lips, causing a sharp pain. The woman by the bed, despite her haggard appearance, couldn't hide her beauty. Her eyes widened, brimming with unshed tears. Jordan, you don't remember me. Since the divorce, Alex has been tirelessly running around the hospital for me, and she's lost a lot of weight. The head nurse and doctors all say I'm lucky to have such a good wife, lamenting the fact that I've lost my memory of her. But the truth is, I just don't want to remember her. To be precise, I'm pretending. After the wave smashed the back of my head against the rocks, the resulting hemorrhage and brain injury made amnesia a plausible outcome. The head doctor reviewed all the test results and could only shake his head at Alex, and then Alex started to cry. The nurse told me that when I was pulled from the sea, I was still clutching a photo in my hand, which Alex must have by now. So why is she crying? We're already divorced. Even if I were dead, she wouldn't be the one to mourn me. During my hospital stay, students came, colleagues visited, and even my former in-laws dropped by. The room quickly filled with gifts and flowers. Everyone tried to talk to me about Alex, attempting to help me remember her. I got fed up and decided to discharge myself early. When I returned to the empty dorm, I immediately wondered which thief was so hungry as to steal from me. But then Professor Zhang came by and told me that Alex had taken all my things. I didn't go back to our old home, and I didn't answer Alex's calls. I spent an entire day lying on the hard dorm bed, and when I woke up, I found Alex curled up like a kitten at the door. The dorm had heating, so she wasn't freezing, but her cheeks and nose were still red. Alex's voice was raspy, with a touch of her usual spoiled tone that tugged at the heart. "Jordan, I regret it. Can you come home with me?" I wasn't sure what she was regretting. Maybe making me jump into the sea, maybe the divorce. But what if I went back and one day Alex regretted it again? What would I do then? I sympathized with Alex for being Liam's backup. But if I went back and became her backup, no one would sympathize with me. They'd just point fingers and call me shameless. I gently pushed Alex away, locked the dorm door, and secured the latch. "Miss Liu, can you check who she's a family member of? I've had things go missing in my dorm. We need to get the locks changed." Miss Liu didn't recognize Alex and began questioning and registering her information. I hurried away, almost running out of her sight. I spent the day sitting idly in my office. When I returned to the dorm with a set of bedding delivered by a runner, I saw Alex sitting on the bed. For a moment, I thought I was seeing a ghost. To get into the dorm, Alex had to prove she was a family member. With our marriage certificate taken by the Civil Affairs Bureau, she used our wedding photo instead. Now it was my turn to figure out how to prove we were divorced. Naturally, she hadn't left me the divorce certificate when she took everything from the dorm. I didn't go back home, and she didn't leave. For the first time, I understood what Liam meant when he described Alex as being as clingy as a plaster. Just thinking about it made me feel miserable, like a squeeze of lemon juice directly onto my heart, sharp and painful. That night, I left the bedding with Alex and spent the night squeezing in with Professor Zhang. Alex really dug in her heels at the dorm. Without a housekeeper or a cook, she somehow managed to stick it out. During the day, she went to work. In the afternoon, she waited for me outside my office building. Within a week, the entire campus knew about it. The powerful female CEO determined to win back her love. It was a cliché, but it caught everyone's attention. More and more people started showing up as self-appointed love guardians, pestering me. In their eyes, I was the villain for forgetting such a devoted woman, not wanting to bother Professor Zhang any further. I rented a small one-bedroom apartment off campus, just enough space for myself. I hoped Alex would quickly forget about me. I didn't need her guilt or self-reproach. After all, my supposed amnesia hadn't cost me any of my years of learning. I was just pretending to forget her, and it hadn't affected my life or work in any way. Alex still showed up every day, sitting across from me at dinner, presenting the dishes she had learned to cook. Her fingers were covered in blisters from burns and cuts from the knife. In the past, she never even cooked herself. Even an apple had to be peeled and handed to her directly. Alex wouldn't be able to keep this up. When she got tired of this game of chasing after her husband, she would leave on her own. Every grain of rice I swallowed felt like a stone, heavy in my stomach, making me seem cold and unyielding. After 3 days of heavy snowfall, the view outside the window was filled with all sorts of snowmen. Someone burst into my office, the snow on their shoulders and shoes melting into puddles on the floor. "Professor Lee, something terrible has happened. Your wife slipped on the snow and there's a lot of blood. Alex had fallen just outside the crowded West Gate." The spicy noodle soup she had bought was spilled all over the ground, long since cold. Just by looking at the packaging, I could tell it was from my favorite place during grad school. Back then, I used to take Liam there, and Alex always tagged along. The snow was dotted with small spots of blood, and larger patches of it as well. I couldn't tell where Alex was hurt. I knelt on the ground at a loss and could only shout helplessly at the students gathered around. "An ambulance. Someone call an ambulance. Now." At that moment, I felt a cool touch on my hand. I turned my head and met those familiar, mischievous eyes, still lively and capable of piercing right through me. Alex smiled as she sat up, rubbing my face, which had frozen in fear. "I tricked you. I knew you were faking it." I shoved her away, slipping and sliding in the snow, fleeing as clumsily as I could. If someone asked me if I still loved Alex, the answer would be yes. The poison of love doesn't fade so easily. After trying for so long, I've only managed to scrape away a few pieces from my bones, just enough to get me onto a plane heading to North City. I completed my undergraduate, master's, and doctorate in Beijing. I got married here, and my father died here. I once thought I would never break free from the ties that bound me to this city. But now, at the age of 30, it feels like most of my life is already behind me. I sat in the airport terminal, clutching my boarding pass, watching the storm clouds gather outside through the large windows. The screens flashed with flight delays, adding to my unease. Alex called. I had avoided her for so long, but since I was about to leave, I decided to pick up the phone this one last time. She didn't ask about my resignation, nor did she ask where I was going. Her voice was light, as if she was holding back a laugh. I looked around, half expecting her to jump out from some corner and startle me. "Jordan, do you still love me?" "I don't love you anymore, and I'm too afraid to love you again." The words slipped out, a reflex from the countless times I had rehearsed them in my mind. Hearing Alex laugh on the other end, my heart clenched, then slowly relaxed. But as she laughed, her voice became strained, as if she was crying or had been drinking. "Jordan, I'm in so much pain. I'm bleeding a lot. Can you come see me?" I had already fallen for her trick once. I wasn't going to be fooled again. Just then, the announcement came over the loudspeakers that my flight was boarding. No delays, no cancellations. And Alex didn't show up at the airport to stop me. "I'm sorry, Alex. We both need to move on with our lives." I hung up the phone, and after a moment of thought, I took out the SIM card I had used for the past 10 years, snapped it in half, and threw it into the airport trash bin, saying goodbye to the past. North City isn't far from my hometown, and with my father buried here, it didn't feel lonely. Here, I was still, Professor Lee, to my colleagues and classmates, though no longer, Associate Professor Lee. The senior staff at the university were kind and often tried to set me up with their relatives. Eventually, I jokingly told them I was divorced and had 2 sons, which put an end to it. The university provided housing for professors, and I adopted a cat. Looking back, it was probably foolish of me. The cat had no respect for its owner, always baring its claws and being difficult. But I liked it all the same. On sleepless nights, I'd grab it and hold it close. It was more effective than any sleep aid. Years passed like this, until one day, during an academic exchange abroad, I ran into Liam. He was there with his wife and children, and as soon as he saw me, his eyes turned red and he grabbed me by the collar. "Jordan, where have you been all these years? Do you know that Tsar, Alex, is dead? The rain that never fell when I left Beijing finally came down in torrents, accompanied by thunder and lightning. I resigned quietly back then, keeping it a secret from Alex until I was already at the airport. Alex had the car accident on her way to the airport. She was driving alone, speeding the entire way, and crashed into a large truck. No wonder. No wonder I kept feeling like she would suddenly appear at the airport, blocking my path and shouting, 'Jordan, you're not allowed to leave.' How could it have been a car accident? It would have been better if it were just another one of Alex's pranks. After all, she'd laughed at me so many times. One more wouldn't have made a difference. Liam told me that it was Alex who convinced him to reconcile with his wife, and that it was because of those 3 years of our marriage that Alex gradually let go of her obsession. But letting Liam go was like undergoing major surgery for Alex. The pain was too intense when she was sober, so she turned to alcohol to numb herself afterward. The divorce wasn't because she was still angry with her younger self. Alex was still lost, searching for a way to heal. It was my reckless leap into the sea that forced her to take drastic measures. Later, Alex told Liam that she knew I was faking my amnesia. After all, how could someone who didn't remember anything keep a stern face around her all day? Alex played along with me, trying to make me happy, but she never imagined that I was determined to leave. Liam waved to the little girl waiting in the distance, who called out to him as Daddy. His expression softened considerably. The first responders told Alex's aunt and uncle that she wanted to keep it from you. But Jordan, you should know that the person she loved when she died was you. I never imagined that one day I'd hear Liam say that Alex loved me. After Liam left, I drank a whole bottle of water, but it couldn't wash away the bitterness in my heart. It was like a lemon seed had fallen onto my heart and been buried deep, wrapped in flesh and blood. I didn't know what to do with the bitterness. The connecting flight back to North City had a layover in Beijing, giving me half a day there. I asked the senior colleague leading the team for permission to go into the city. Go ahead, go ahead. I remember Professor Wang spent quite some time in Beijing. You must have a lot of friends here. No, I'm going to see my love. I stepped out into the drizzle, and in a daze, I thought I saw a delicate girl leaping into a puddle in front of me. She smiled, her eyes bright and captivating. Jordan, I fooled you again.
You borrow mine so you could calibrate it and not worry about what the factory had done. But the thing is $450. Yeah, I've looked into getting one myself, but it's too fucking expensive. Oh, my mouse. They are very fucking expensive, and I am not equipped brain power wise to be able to figure out how to use it. I suck.
Same, it's okay.
I still suck. I'm not Gliz Kyle. Still not him. Still not him.
Are we doing a snipe off or what?
No, we're not. Not doing that shit again.
Why not?
Because I just went on a rant about fucking playing patty cake with another grown man's tits. I don't think I'm fully locked in.
Alright.
I hope that rant was worth the 100 hot dogs.
Well, it was...
Or 1,000 hot dogs.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it. Fucking... whatever you said, Rocket Man. That was worth it alone.
Rants are a passionate expression. Dude, that had me rolling on the floor.
God damn it.
Hey. There's a fucking gopher over there. Can you guys give me a second?
Wow,
let me just fucking
breathe. I don't think I've ever seen a team lose the first one so fast.
Well, you've never played with me then. Oh shit, we're playing with Big Pharma? That's another fucking rant. I'm gonna be knocking out all the rich people tonight. Stop. Song requests are still open. I don't know if they're working, but you can try. I did restart Songify, so if you want to put a song request in, exclamation point, SSR, artist, song title. Just no Euro trash. And no Vanga Boys, because it is blocked, because Vanga Boys can suck it.
You did not block Vanga Boys.
I did. I did.
Who hurt you?
Vanga Boys.
Show me where they touched you.
In my no-no square.
Well, then you enjoyed it.